Basketball Association. We have Deputy Commissioner Eric Emmanuel Castro and with him is Mauro Bengoa Jr. From the Samahang Basketball ng Pilipinas, we have Coach Jong Wichiko. That is all, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon to everybody.
Okay, so thank you, Attorney Andre Mortel. So let's now go to our first three bills concerning the Fiscal Autonomy Act for the Judicial Department. Okay, so maybe we can hear from the position of the Office of the Court Administrator. Honorable Raul Villanueva is here with us. Are you ready, sir? Nakadaanan niyo yung tatlong bills sige. Yes. Thank you. Go ahead, sir.
Maayong hapon, Your Honor. Good afternoon to everyone. We say in Ilocano na yung bagnamelam yung hapon nga pada-pada. Thank you, Your Honors, to the honorable members of this Committee on Justice and Human Rights for setting this hearing on the three almost similar bills on the fiscal autonomy of the judicial branch of government. We note, Your Honors, that practically all the provisions pertaining to the three proposed measures are almost similar, except for one item in the proposed bill from Senator Bongo, wherein insofar as prohibiting local government unit support to our courts are concerned, there is no mention in his bill regarding it. What in the bills of proposed bills of Senator Subiri and Senator Rafi Tulfo, these are specifically provided for. May I just inform Your Honors, the Honorable Chair of this committee, that in the House of Representatives, there are counterpart bills regarding the fiscal autonomy of the Philippine judiciary. In fact, there is already a substitute bill in the House insofar as their own version of this particular bill is concerned, sponsored by former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, the chairman of the Committee on Justice in the House of Representatives, Juliet Marie De Leon Ferrer, the chairperson of the Committee on Appropriations, Elisa Dico, and the other members of the various committee of the House or chairpersons of different committees, Congressman Joey Sarte Salceda and Loreto Acharon. Insofar as this bill is concerned, Your Honors, it essentially proposes recognition of the fiscal autonomy of the Supreme Court. It provides, among others, authority on the part of the judiciary when it comes to the preparation of the budget, that it can submit its proposal to the DBM, but the DBM will, as proposed, Your Honors, and during the discussions in the House, will just include the amounts proposed by the Supreme Court for the entire judiciary and included in the National Expenditure Program for deliberation before first in the House of Representatives, then in the Senate. Likewise, it also makes mention of an authority on the part of the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court to of course, redefine, create positions that are needed insofar as the operations of the judiciary is concerned. Likewise, also create offices that may be needed in connection with the mandate of the Judicial Department to dispense with justice. Likewise, Your Honors, it also authorizes providing for the salary rates and the positions that may be needed for purposes of again the mandate of the Judicial Department. Also, it talks about the transfer of physical assets belonging to the judiciary to fast track the same by requiring the different concerned agencies to assist insofar as ensuring that properties in the name of the judiciary will be transferred, titles thereto will be transferred in its name. Your Honors, one feature also is with respect to the Judiciary Trust Fund, while we have a Judiciary Development Fund, Your Honor, it would appear that this Judiciary Trust Fund will enhance the use and also the purposes for which the Judiciary Trust the Development Fund created pursuant to PD 1949 is concerned. With this Judiciary Trust Fund, it has expanded the sources as well to build up this particular fund. In essence, Your Honors, we completely agree insofar as these proposed bills are concerned, of course, subject to the discretion of this committee and this, of course, both the House of Representatives and the Senate regarding the final version that will come out. We are just praying, Your Honor, that on a personal note, may just put on record that the entire Supreme Court and Bank, led by Chief Justice Alexander Gesmundo, is supporting these proposed measures to put more meaning insofar as what fiscal autonomy is concerned as granted by the Constitution to the Judicial Department. We therefore submit, Your Honor, to your kind discretion to consider these particular bills and hopefully to be deliberated on for plenary, Your Honors, and on third reading, because based on our understanding, Your Honor, this will also be already taken up on third reading by the House, Your Honor. So thank you very much.
I have a question, Justice Villanueva. The term fiscal autonomy, is this defined in the Constitution itself?
Yes, Your Honor, it might appear to be so because fiscal autonomy based on what is provided in the Constitution is, among others, to ensure that when it comes to the budget of the Supreme Court and the entire Philippine judiciary, it should be released automatically once approved. And likewise, the budget of the judiciary should not be reduced in terms of amounts compared to prior years. But other than those, Your Honors, what have been the subject of decisions of the Supreme Court, like for example, the case of insofar as the Drilon case is concerned, Your Honor, wherein fiscal autonomy talks about also the freedom on the part of the judiciary, not only insofar as its budget is concerned, but also with respect to the use of the budget, Your Honor. So that's something that we would like to be at least made clear insofar as by way of legislation, Your Honor, not to put more meaning to what is provided in the Constitution, Your Honor, regarding fiscal autonomy.
So as I understand the inputs from the court administrator, the bill is about the procedure on how to get the budget approved. Doon tayo. Kasi ito po nangyari, for fiscal autonomy, from the wording of the Constitution, according to our court administrator, can mean that the budget of the judiciary, once approved, should be released automatically and regularly, and that the bottom line cannot be reduced. Yan, that's it. Okay, that's it for the wording. From the wording, and then the court administrator has mentioned to us that the Supreme Court has probably decided a case or cases where fiscal autonomy included the aspect of freedom of the fiscally autonomous entity to use their budget. Okay. So
Benson versus Drilon case.
okay, so
Among others, yes, Your Honor.
so itong ating bill ngayon involves that particular aspect on the budget, how to approve the budget of the fiscally autonomous judicial department. Doon po tayo, yun po, doon tayo nakafocus ngayon.
Initially, Your Honor, insofar as the budget process is concerned, because essentially what happens is that we submit our proposed budget. Of course, we submitted to the DBM, and at the level of the DBM, of course, there are some discussions regarding what we propose, Your Honor. And then at the end, when the NEP is submitted, it is not what is proposed, but there is already revisions, Your Honors. So what we're trying to say insofar as fiscal autonomy is concerned is that we will still pass through the DBM, but if there is already an amount that is pegged as proposed, no, coming from us, that it be included in the NEP, and we will allow of course, Congress to determine whether to maintain the proposal or to reduce it, Your Honor. But of course, take into account that the Constitution provides that there should be no reduction. No, it should not be lower than the previous year insofar as what Congress will do, Your Honor.
So the current practice, Justice Villanueva, is that Supreme Court has a committee and then DBM has a committee. Anong level po ng mga people participating in the face-to-face meeting between the SC representing the judiciary and the DBM?
Your Honor, insofar as the judiciary is concerned, the Supreme Court always comes up with always composes or creates a budget committee every year.
Committee.
Previously, it was headed by former court administrator Jose Maidas Marquez during his time. And then at one time, I also led or headed that particular budget committee. And later on, it is now headed by a justice of the Supreme Court. Of course, during discussions regarding the proposed budget of the entire judiciary, the finance people coming from the different courts, from the Supreme Court, from the lower courts, from the Presidential Electoral Tribunal, from the Court of Appeals, from the Court of Tax Appeals and Sandigan Bayan, meet with the proper offices and officers of the DBM regarding the proposals, Your Honor. So there's a discussion about Tier 1 and Tier 2 regarding new programs, activities, and projects, Your Honor. So
Collectively or per court? Individually on a court basis?
collectively, Your
Collectively
Honor.
na.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Everybody
Headed
is,
headed by the justice which heads the budget committee.
yes, Your Honor, and headed
then-
by our finance people, Your Honor, from the Supreme
Yes,
Court.
and then who faces you from the DBM? From the DBM side, sino naman, anong level naman po yung kausap niya?
At times there are based on director level positions, Your Honor. There were instances when I was able to participate that it involves an assistant secretary, Your Honor.
So thank you, Justice. So may we get now parang some inputs or position comments from DBM? Sige, attorneys and Attorney Tricia Baraan is here. Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon po, Mr. Chair, Senator Ruin, and to everyone. First of all, we recognize po the fiscal autonomy of the judiciary, and we take note po na lahat po ng sinabi ni Justice, well taken po. We have notes po on the budget proposal side na pag sa NEP naman po, nilalagay namin yung amounts requested by the Supreme Court sa NEP vis-a-vis po yung aming recommendation, and we leave to the discretion of Congress po if they will change or not po. Siyempre po, taking into consideration our fiscal program for the year and yung mga budget guidelines po namin, yun po yung dahilan kung we conduct technical budget hearings with the Supreme Court and any other agency, including SIFAG po, in evaluating and recommending po the yearly budget. So, and then sa other portions po ng bill, which they also request to have an automatic release of monthly cash requirement. On that side naman po, yearly, on a certain period po kasi, we have to know kung kailan po kakailanganin ng bawat agency yung actual cash. Para po si BTR, na-schedule niya rin po kung magkano yung kakailanganin niya. Kasi pag hindi po natin alam kung, halimbawa for March, kung magkano po yung kailangan ng isang agency, magre-result po tayo into borrowing. So, yun po yung iniiwasan po namin. So, yun po yung major concerns po namin. Thank you po.
Okay, I have some questions. Okay. Current practice Diba? Current practice. So in the Supreme Court Budget Committee, on behalf of the entire judiciary yun they propose an amount na X. Okay? Ang siguro ang linalagay ninyo ang ending after the process, ang ending ninyo sa NEP, the total budget for the judicial department would be Y, and then in all likelihood or in most instances Y is lower than X. Tama po ba 'yon? Tama. So kaya what are you doing now what is your flow chart for decision making on which of the items included in the original proposal of the Supreme Court do you not include in the final NEP listing of the PAPs for the judiciary?
We take note po of those na implementation ready projects po, Mr. Chair. And yung if may ibang proposal po na requires other requirements din to ensure po na yung ibibigay nating fund ay magagamit rin po ni Supreme Court. So we have budget priorities framework po yearly. So kung ano po yung annual na nire-release ni DBM na budget preparation guidelines, yun po yung aming checklist po in evaluating po.
Is the Supreme Court Budget Committee supposed to be aware of all of those guidelines? And then specifically itong that they must prioritize implementation ready projects. Alam nila yon.
Yes po, Your Honor.
Alam nila yon. But so if the mere fact na binabawasan yun, that means to say there are non-implementation ready projects in the proposal. Ganun po ba yan?
Yes po, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Pwede natin lagay sa bill siguro, Justice, na stress natin yung implementation ready. Baka. Unless what's the limitation of an implementation ready rule? Sige, yan, para makakita natin.
Your Honor. Well, insofar as determining what can be implemented or not, while we respect, of course, completely, no, because we are informed in a way, because the Secretary of Budget and Management informs us that this will only be the level, for example, of our budget. While we respect that, Your Honor, but when we make a proposal, we consider everything as to be implementation ready, Your Honor. Especially when it comes to new projects, especially now that we have this strategic plan for judicial innovations that covers a lot of activities to achieve our objectives on efficiency, innovation, and access, Your Honors. And many of the items pertain to, for example, coming out with applications, IT programs and projects, Your Honors, that this can readily be implemented the moment that the procurement process takes place, Your Honor. Likewise, many of our budgets, especially on new programs, activities, and projects, pertain to construction of our halls of justice, Your Honors, and even the creation of courts, Your Honors, insofar as new bills or new laws creating additional positions are concerned, Your Honor. If that is allowed, we don't have to wait that long insofar as creating all of these offices that are the subject of new bills, Your Honors. But again, Your Honor, like I said, we do respect what the DBM is doing right now. But we feel that this matters about whether it can be implemented or not, or whether we are given sufficient budget or not. We'd rather submit it to Congress, first to the House of Representatives and to the Senate regarding the budgetary process, Your Honors. And of course, taking into account the revisions or the comments from the DBM on whether or not this can be allowed or not, Your Honor.
Okay, so as I get it, maganda yung implementation ready na rule or requirement, and yet for some PAPs, we can say that that's too subjective. Kasi ang point, correct me if I'm wrong, admin, ang point ninyo is, pag i-release nyo yung pera, we are ready. Ang problema, sabi ni hindi pa implementation ready, hindi namin i-release yung pera. So that is what happens. Pero meron lang out of curiosity and more education about this matter. Si DBM Secretary pala determines beforehand the level of the budget for the judiciary. Is that correct? Narinig ko kay court admin na sinasabi ni DBM Secretary ang... So kunyari, kunyari X ang budget ngayong taon, sasabihin ni Secretary 110% of X ka lang next year. Ganun? Is that correct?
Mr. Chair, of course, first po, hindi po namin pwedeng bawasan yung budget ni
Yes.
Judiciary.
Huh.
So, the previous years. And second po, we release po yung levels po ng agencies, tier 1, which pertains po to ongoing and yung mga recurring items po natin sa JA.
So
Yun po yung nade-determine.
Hindi yun formula na tinitignan ninyo yung level niya ng current year tapos ina-applyan nyo lang ng formula that will now be the level niya for next year. Dinadaanan nyo talaga isa-isa kung ano yung mga projects at ano yung na-implement nila at ano yung hindi nila na-implement. Ganun po ba yun?
Yes po, Mr. Chair.
Even for a fiscally autonomous entity like the Judicial Department, you do that isa-isa.
Yes po, Mr. Chair.
May tanong ka pa rin. Marami tayong matututunan dito.
Just a quick question to Justice and or to Attorney Baraan. So the process right now, when you, di ba may tier 1, tier 2, di ba? So they submit the tier 1 and all of the tier 1 is approved. But the tier 1, but is that the all-inclusive wish list of the judiciary? Kasi typically, di ba, in tier 2 is they call it the wish list eh. Di ba? So, if they will enjoy fiscal autonomy, I would assume that they would also want their wish list to be included in the tier 1 because they have a lot of projects and all, yung mga computerization, justice hall. So, how much of the tier 2 or how much of the wish list actually gets approved by DBM? The tier 1, wala tayong problema doon, di ba? In tier 2. Or the wish list. Maybe si Justice
Sagutin ko po muna, Your Honor.
answer that.
First is you're correct, Your Honor, that when it comes to the tier 1 items, Your Honor, usually these are approved because these are items that are considered as recurring. So year in and year out, these are the items that we need regarding personnel services or even MOE, Your Honors. Tier 2 is all about projects, capital outlay, Your Honor, sometimes. So this is where, of course, the determination by the DBM on whether or not they should grant it or at least allow it, or include it in the NEP, will come in, Your Honor. And what we're saying is that we completely respect that kind of a process, Your Honor. But when you come up with tier 2 items, as you mentioned, Your Honor, these are not only wish list, but we feel that these are in line with all the objectives of the judiciary, especially right now, Your Honor, with the SPJI in place. Which is a plan that was devised by the entire Supreme Court and Bank. And that's why many of practically all our justices, Your Honor, are on board. They had different committees to be able to implement many of these plans and programs, Your Honor.
So how much of the tier 2 gets approved every year? Estimate lang in percentage terms.
For a while, Mr. Chair, we will just
Yeah,
check our
but
records.
based on experience, Justice will 10%, 50%. Normally hindi 100% yan eh.
Yes, well,
More or less lang historically.
siguro po, Your Honor, my estimate is that
More or less lang, just to give us an idea of how much
baka 20%
About
ng aming tier 2.
of 20% gets approved.
Baka. Kasi if I remember correctly, if I will just base it on our proposal, for example, for this year. This year, we propose about 80 billion. What we got in so far as the NEP is concerned is about 63 billion, Your Honor. So there's a difference. That's why we even asked for a reconsideration of about 10 billion. So out of the, for example, 17 billion that may not have been included, Your Honor.
And what is the process for in approving the tier 2? Is there a joint process between the DBM and the judiciary?
Well,
Itong
there are
budget committee ba, the SC budget committee, is the DBM part of that?
Well, there are discussions, Your Honor, and that is the process that we, of course, recognize and respect.
So that it follows, just like any other government agencies, it follows the process.
It follows a process, Your
Okay.
Honor. It does, it does.
No, the reason why I asked, Mr. Chairman, because in the bill, now that the bill proposes fiscal autonomy, meaning if the Supreme Court submits the budget proposal, I would assume that includes tier 1 and tier 2.
Yes, Your Honor, when first we start with tier 1
Hmm.
and then we proceed to tier 2 after that.
Okay.
Yes, Your Honor.
In this proposal, DBM cannot revise anymore. It goes straight to Congress.
Yes, Your Honor. That is the proposal that
So for example,
it will be Congress which is mandated in the first place to deal with our budget, Your Honor.
both tier 1 and tier 2.
Yes, Your Honor. Yes.
So for example, in 2025, how much is your tier 1?
I'm
Do you
not really
remember?
sure, Your Honor. I'm sorry insofar as the figures are concerned. Of course, the 17 billion that I was mentioning, by way of example, Your Honor, may not cover necessarily tier 2 only, but some tier 1 items as well. But nonetheless, insofar as what we have right now is concerned, Your Honor, then
Yeah.
there's a big cut.
But conceptually, this proposal proposes both tier 1 and tier 2 will be submitted
Included part of the NEP.
straight to the part of the NEP.
Part of the NEP only.
Straight to Congress na.
Yes,
And
Your Honor.
Congress will now have the power to
Yes, to reduce it.
reduce or to discuss whatever.
Based on the revisions, if they have suggestions, Your Honor, but of course, bearing in mind that it cannot be lower than the previous year.
Yes. But the reason why I asked, Mr. Chairman, because the effect of that is the entire tier 2 will now be proposed. No? Because right now, only 20% is included in the NEP. In tier 2 ang malaki actually. Actually in all agencies, tier 2 is the biggest. No? So 20% will be included. But now with this bill, the whole 100% now will be included, subject to the deliberations of Congress. My question to Attorney Bra, what will be the effect in the NEP proposal? Because now you have the whole, assuming if they proposed 100 billion, traditionally they get 20 billion approved in tier 2. Now the whole 100 billion is included in the NEP. So what will be the effect in terms of the NEP?
Mr. Chair, Senator Gatchalian, of course, it will affect other agencies. Since yung tier 2 po natin, it will depend on our fiscal space on how much we can spend po for yung pwede pa nating i-spend for the next year, for example. So, of course, other priority programs and projects of the government will be affected po. Since we have to accommodate the amount that will be coming from the judiciary po.
In other words, because of this bill, they will take priority in the computation. I'm making it simple. In the computation of the entire NEP, they get priority. Tama? And then the other ones will take center stage. I mean second stage.
Yes po, Mr. Chair.
Correct. Thank you.
Pero included in the NEP. And then during the hearing, DBM can raise fiscal space. Di ba? Limited fiscal space. But, di ba? I think that is the goal eh. Hindi naman to automatic din na approval or whatever. Basta when it's heard by the House and or also by the Senate, BBM appears that limited fiscal space. Ilalabas ngayon yun. Pwede. Pero ito lang yung tanong ko. The Judicial Department is not the only department or sector which has been granted fiscal autonomy. Tama po, Justice Villanueva. Ngayon, if we are successful in now arguing for this arrangement with a fiscally autonomous Judicial Department, can the other fiscally autonomous departments or commissions now follow suit and follow the procedure for the Supreme Court?
Well, Your Honor, that is possible. We submit. But I hope that our pleading is based on the fact that the judiciary is the third branch of government. What we're saying is that, yes, the others may still ask, but it will be subject to legislation nonetheless. Congress may decide that while you enjoy fiscal autonomy, but if not part of, I mean, a third branch of government, another branch of government, I hope that they will understand, Your Honor, why we're asking for it. We're not saying that they should be denied the same request, Your Honor. But anyway, it will pass through legislation. So it will now up to Congress to come up with a policy if they will include even not what considered as a third branch of government, Your Honor.
Kasi nakikita ko kasi si Chairman Bachman, ang gusto niya humingi rin ng fiscal autonomy. Kita ko tumatango eh. Oh, I'm sure I'm sure yan na naman yung yan ang they will now write to the committees of Congress na sila din. But ang maganda yata realization dito, okay, that's why we started with the constitutional concept of fiscal autonomy. Tapos yung Supreme Court decision, which probably elaborated on that, being part of the law of the land, kasama siya sa interpretation of that constitutional provision. But what we're doing now is a statutory feature of fiscal autonomy. Pwede. Tama, di ba? Which, pwede natin sabihin, okay, may other fiscally autonomous entities, but since walang law specifically granting you this feature, you don't have it. So, pwede, yeah, I think I can parang anong tawag, harmonize it in my mind, Justice Villanueva. So, any other COA? COA, does COA want to, ano? May, ano ka? Sige,
A follow-up
sige, Mark,
question.
sige. Win.
Reading the bill, the basis for fiscal autonomy is lodged under the Constitution. Tama, Justice?
That is
But
correct, Your
what
Honor.
other offices have the same feature in the Constitution?
Well, I
other
think
than the
constitutional bodies, Your Honors, perhaps the COMELEC, the COA, and the Civil Service Commission, the Ombudsman, of course, Congress and
So yung PSC hindi pwede. Sports Commission.
like I said, Your Honor, while anyone can make a request, Your Honor, perhaps, but I
there's
hope
no
that our pleadings will be based on being a third branch of government, Your Honor, will be taken
Yeah.
into account.
But it's just operationalizing what is lodged under the Constitution.
Yes, Your Honor, and giving more meaning to what
Yeah.
fiscal autonomy is for the Judicial Department,
Do
Your
you
Honor.
know, other than the SC's request, do you know if the other constitutional bodies are already enjoying the same fiscal autonomy?
Well, if the definition is with respect to regular release, no, once approved, insofar as the budget is concerned, and or even not insofar as the budget is concerned, not
No,
lower than amount,
Yung ganitong klaseng fiscal
but
autonomy.
not that kind of fiscal autonomy, Your
So
Honor.
none of the constitutional bodies enjoy this type of fiscal autonomy. This one you're
Yes, Your Honor. I'm not aware of any body insofar as what is proposed right now is concerned, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Sila lang din talaga yung third branch eh. Yes, Attorney Baraan.
Just to manifest po na medyo iba-iba po yung fiscal autonomy ng bawat SIFA group. Yung sa judiciary po, meron po nung hindi pwedeng bawasan, shall not be reduced. Sa ibang SIFAG po, wala po ganun. And we want to assure na we automatically release po yung funding po for the judiciary and other SIFAG po. Thank you.
Chairman, there's another government entity that enjoys fiscal autonomy, the BARM. Diba, Attorney Baraan? Their block grant goes straight to the BARM without Congress even evaluating the components of the block grant, correct? It's an automatic release under the law. No, so in a sense, it's fiscal autonomy because a block grant is probably more than 70% of their total local budget. No?
Okay. Attorney Baraan, when you say that the budget of the Supreme Court is periodically or regularly released, example lang, kunyari 12 billion ang budget nila, you release it divided by 12, so ganun equal releases yun over the course of 1 year or hindi?
Mr. Chair, in terms of allotment po, it is comprehensively released po to the Supreme Court. But on the actual cash requirements, we do request po for the planning po nila. Meron po tayong tinatawag na monthly disbursement program to ensure po na there will be available cash. Na,
Yeah, cash coming from you. Tama? Galing saan?
Yes po.
So,
Galing po sa BTR. We only include po
Bureau
for the
Treasury.
purpose.
Pero yung Go Signal sa inyo or
Yes po.
BTR to release to the Supreme Court.
Yes po. Sure.
Okay, but yun na nga, yung cash na yon, it's not the same amount every month. Hindi siya ganun. Walang formula yon. Hinihingi yon. It's a plan, pursuant to a plan.
Yes po, Mr. Chair. Depende po kung kailan po kasi yung mas marami po nilang babayaran.
Gusto.
or-
Okay, I understand.
Thank you.
So thank you. So the SCOA want to comment, Ma'am Ferrer? Kasi tatlo.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, Chairman. The Commission supports the proposed legislative measure of defining the scope and extent of the fiscal autonomy of the judiciary. The exercise of institutional judicial independence contemplates a guarantee of a full flexibility to allocate, manage, and utilize its resources with the wisdom and dispatch that it requires. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Is DOJ represented here? Are you here, Attorney Fatalla, for this bill? Hindi ba? Is OSG here? Attorney Matias, are you here for this bill? Hindi ba pa? So wala na. So okay, what's the pleasure of the three agencies on the one department? Do you want to still submit some position paper to help organize your thoughts, or pwedeng ito na lang, ito na ang ating exchange ngayong hapon? Attorney Baraan.
Opo. Mr. Chair, actually we have submitted for our position paper last July on this matter.
Sa iyo pa.
To the committee.
pa.
Thank you.
July, yes, it's at the time of Senator Tolentino. So okay na, you don't need to resubmit. Okay.
On our part, Your Honor, as early as May during the chairpersonship of Senator Tolentino, we also submitted our position, of course, to completely ask for the Senate to approve this particular measure. Thank you, Your
And
Honor.
then nothing has changed to change. Ma'am, Theo,
Yes, sir. The Commission
Tapos na rin.
submitted already
na rin. Okay.
last
So-
July 29.
So we have access to those records. Okay, ito muna si former seniority pa rin. Okay.
Just would
Sa
like
Senator
to
Tolentino.
play devil's advocate in terms of defining fiscal autonomy vis-a-vis judicial independence. So if we consider fiscal autonomy, do we limit it just to the entire judicial universe, or are we free to determine the scope relative to the other functions of the judiciary? For instance, if we enshrine this into a law, what would prevent a regional trial court from claiming likewise that we have a fiscal autonomy principle, which is now part of the law, assuming this is passed, and the Supreme Court, as also part of that judicial universe, cannot inquire, cannot meddle into our own fiscal autonomy. Although you have the power to supervise, change decisions on appeal, etc., etc. But when it comes to the expenditures, disbursement, discretion is still there. So would the definition of fiscal autonomy likewise apply to the Court of Appeals, to the lower level courts, to the regional trial courts on a per unit basis?
Your Honor, to my mind, there is a measure of control insofar as the administration of, for example, the finances of the different courts are concerned, because Section 6 provides that the Supreme Court has administrative supervision over all courts, Your Honors, and that covers, of course, expenditures. And to my mind, Your Honor, the fiscal autonomy that we are invoking is for the entire judicial department. So it's not only for one particular level of our courts, Your Honor. So to my mind, there might, insofar as that is concerned, we are confident that there will be no conflict insofar as anyone lower than the Supreme Court would invoke that they have that fiscal autonomy which the Supreme Court cannot look into, Your Honor.
So in essence, the Supreme Court can inquire, meddle is not the right word, involve itself in the daily operations, including fiscal operations of lower level courts. Huwag mong gastusin yan. Huwag mong gastusin dito yan. Ang ipakabit mong telco ito para wag kang bumili ng Starlink. Hindi pwede sabihin ni judge, meron ho kami fiscal autonomy. Ba't nyo kami pinakikialaman? So wala yon.
Well, we hope that they don't do that, Your Honor. Your Honor, I don't think under the scheme of things right now, it's the Supreme Court that decides for everyone, Your Honor.
Donate na lupa sa isang regional trial court, pwede ba sabihin ng Supreme Court? Huwag nyo tanggapin yan.
Well,
Kasi-
everything goes up to the Supreme Court, Your Honor, even those kinds of perhaps grants, Your Honor. So,
So, are we now saying this, that this is now anathema to the fiscal autonomy which we are discussing right now? Fiscal autonomy would now just apply to the independence of the judiciary insofar as it relates to the other two branches of government. But within the judiciary, wala. Ano ba yan?
well, there is independence insofar as the exercise of judicial power is concerned, Your Honor. The trial courts can always decide cases based on what is mandated or what is required of them to do insofar as those decisions are concerned. And then we follow the hierarchy of courts, Your Honor. So we do not decide for the lower courts only when it reaches up to the Supreme Court that, of course, a ruling can be made whether or not the trial court acted correctly or not, Your Honor.
I recognize Senator Gatchalian. The chairman recognizes acknowledges the presence of Senator Bongo. And of course, Congressman Peter Miguel from South Cotabato is also here with us. So yes, Senator Gatchalian, yes.
Before we end, Mr. Chairman, just to clarify and spread into the records. So what's being contemplated here, Justice Villanueva, is in simple terms, pag nasubmit na yung budget to DBM, DBM will now submit this to Congress in toto, including Tier 1 and Tier 2. But Congress will still deliberate on the budget. No? Subject to the hearing, subject to the discussion, the budget can go up, the budget can go down.
Yes, Your Honor. That is our understanding. That they will just look into our proposed budget, have it included in the NEP, then they can submit their revisions or comments regarding it during the deliberations. And of course, the power of Congress as the one that is the source for all our budgets, Your Honor, insofar as the amounts are concerned, can be exercised fully during those deliberations, Your Honor, not at the level of the DBM.
And during the budget deliberations, the DBM can make comments, can make suggestions. It's up to Congress now whether to accept those suggestions and take into consideration the comments.
Yes, Your Honor, that is our understanding insofar as this
So it's
proposed
not
measure
like
is
the
concerned.
BAR model wherein when the block grant is computed, automatic release na.
I don't think that is what is being contemplated in the proposed bills, Your Honors.
All right,
And-
thank you. Thank you.
Yes,
Mr.
thank you,
Chairman.
Your Honor. And at this point, we just like to thank also Senator Bongo for sponsoring this fiscal autonomy bill for the Judicial Department. Thank you po.
It can be increased or it can be decreased, but not lower than the previous year's budget level.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Hindi, tayo saan natin gusto? Sabi, tinanong, ang question ni Senator Gatchalian sa akin how about Congress? Sabi ko, no, ang Congress, wala namang prohibition. Yes, we can go low. We can go as low as we want. And also true for the other other side of the coin, unfortunately. Senator Bongo, since do you want to make an opening statement? Although natapos na namin yung bill mo. Sige, Senator Bongo is recognized.
Salamat, Mr. Chair, since nandirito na rin ako. Just want to give my manifestation of support. As one of the authors of this bill pending before this committee, I want to express my full support for the measures strengthening the fiscal autonomy of the judicial branch of the government. Mr. Chair, the judicial branch of government performs several functions that are vital in ensuring that the rule of law is appropriately upheld and that justice is duly served in the legal system. In order for the judicial branch to perform its duties, they must not be constrained by limited fiscal autonomy. We must allow the judiciary to have greater control over its budget, which can help to ensure its independence and impartiality. Currently, the budget of the judiciary is still subject to the regular budgeting process, which goes through the Department of Budget and Management for budget preparation and releasing. This bill mandates that the budget proposal prepared by the Supreme Court shall be incorporated in a draft national budget without any revisions. The DBM, however, may propose revisions thereon, but it shall consult in writing with the Supreme Court or the Chief Justice concerning its suggested revisions. The DBM is also mandated to automatically release to the Supreme Court without need for any request the monthly cash requirements of the judiciary. I thank the chairman of the committee, no less than our minority leader, for hearing this measure. Being a legal luminary himself, I am confident that he will consider this as an important measure in order to maximize the capacity of the judicial branch of the government. Sa pamamagitan ng panukalang ito, inaasahan natin na matutulungan natin ang pagbibigay ng hustisya sa bawat kasong nakasalang sa ating mga korte sa mabilis at patas na paraan. Atin naman po ay hustisya para sa lahat. Thank you, Mr. Chair. At nandito rin po ako to participate po dito sa issue about itong mga not only sa basketball, kasi being chairman po ng Committee on Sports and Youth and Health sa Senado, marami po mga atleta na naging naturalized citizen. At and of course, no, napag-uusapan namin ito ng ating majority floor leader, si Senator Tol, na nanonood rin po ito ng basketball. Bakit hindi gamitin ito yung mga naturalized player natin sa local competition? Pero sa tingin ko naman, case-to-case basis pag-aralan. Pinasa natin itong Philippine National Games bill, pwede maglaro itong mga naturalized player. Pero pag-aralan natin mabuti, lalong-lalo na po sa professional league. Kaya po tayo narito, pag-aralan natin ng mabuti. Case-to-case po ito, pag-usapan natin. Maraming salamat, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Bongo. So at this point, we can now, I think, terminate this portion of our hearing on the matter of the Fiscal Autonomy Acts for the judicial branch of government. So we can now excuse the resource persons who came here for that topic. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. Justice, Attorney, and Cynthia. Attorney, ang natural course yan, magiging justice yan. Career path. So maybe in 20 years from now, Justice Tricia naman ang na-appeal sa atin. So thank you. Thank you.
Kasi araw-araw nandito.
Oo nga. Salamat, Justice. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honors. Permission to leave. Salamat po.
Thank you. Okay, so we now go to the second part of our hearing on the citizenship bills. So may bisita tayo from the House. So with the permission of my colleagues, do you want to deliver a statement, Congressman? Yes. So statement from Congressman Peter Miguel of South Cotabato. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Magandang umaga po sa lahat. I'm here precisely in support for the application of citizenship of Father Stephen Decatur Hines. Father Hines has been a fixture of our community in South Cotabato, particularly in Barangay Namnama, Coronadal City. He's been there for almost 20 years, serving our community, not only as a priest, but also as a community leader, educator, as well as an inspiration of local people. So without further ado, Mr. Senator, Mr. Chair, I earnestly bill for the application of citizenship of Father Stephen Decatur Hines. Thank you po.
So doon pala siya namalagi sa South Cotabato.
Opo,
Dito
sa
siya.
South Cotabato, Coronadal City particularly. At siya po namamahala rin ng small community doing medical work as well as spiritual work.
So our future Filipinos, did you enjoy the first part of the hearing? Huh? Did you like the topic? Fiscal autonomy? Mr. Su, you like it? You learned a lot. What is the highest court in the land? What is the highest court in the Philippines? Who can answer? Oh, that Mr. You answered immediately. Supreme Court. Oh, brief. That was actually the purpose to expose you to another a feature of government which is not really well known or not landing in the news every day. So that we have such a court, so the judiciary, the third branch, and we have a budget process that they want to be improved. Okay, you have questions? Okay, Senator Tolentino, the expert on citizenship processing, will take the lead. Will now take the lead. Senator Tolentino has the floor.
Perhaps for all the applicants here present, can you raise your hands? All of you are applicants? One, two, 3. Father, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 applicants. So the secretary is directed to inform this committee whether all documentary requirements have been complied with. Lahat ba? Let's do this as an omnibus question. Sinong kulang? Sinong kulang? Sinong kulang? 9. All the 9.
Sir, Mr. Your Honor, all requirements have been passed by our applicants for citizenship.
What are the requirements? Written intent to become a Filipino.
Yes, sir. The affidavit of intent, sir.
Number 2.
Also the supporting documents such as residence, barangay clearance.
Residency for how long? Is there a period required?
Sir, there is no specific period as far as the committee is concerned, sir. We only abide by the requirements of the law.
Number 3.
Sir, we also have the health certificate requirement that to be certified by a government hospital that they are not sick or with any contagious diseases.
Number
Sir,
4.
they have the financial capacity to stay and live in the Philippines, sir.
So what is the proof of financial capacity?
Sir, they have submitted their bank statements as well as land copies of their real estate property titles and
Are you allowed to disclose that considering existing bank rules and regulations?
sir, perhaps not in the public hearing.
So but they have complied.
Yes, sir, they have.
Substantial amount in their bank deposits? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, Your Honor.
How much? Number 5. Number 5.
Sir, if applicable, sir, their children should have studied in educational institutions recognized by our Department of Education, sir.
Will that apply to the others here? We have clerics here.
Sir, only if applicable, Your Honor.
If applicable. Number 6.
Sir, other supporting documents, but substantially the previous enumerated ones, sir, are the more essential.
What about
requirements.
criminal records?
Sir, the clearance from our NBI and PNP should likewise be submitted, Your Honor.
So no criminal records for all the 9 or 8.
Yes, Your Honor.
What else?
I think that is all that is required, sir.
So all 8 or 9 applicants here have fully complied with the requirements.
Yes, Your Honor.
So what is lacking now?
Sir, that we need to hear their application here in the legislative process of naturalization.
So one by one, we will have to ask them why they want to become a Filipino citizen. So with the permission of this chairman, may we ask one by one? We start. It probably might not be wise for the others just to reiterate what your seatmate just said. You can elaborate and make it more personal for you. We start with
Can we give them 3 minutes?
3 minutes to study,
No, 3 minutes. 3 minutes each.
3 minutes each.
Comsec, just give them 3 minutes each lang. Please regulate the time kasi may session
Yeah.
tayo 3 o'clock. Sige,
So-
can you... So, I will randomly choose. So
Okay.
that they know. Sige. You are requested to state within 3 minutes, not more than 3 minutes, why you want to be a Filipino citizen.
That's the
That's the... Okay, ready?
fiscal autonomy of the chairman. Who will
Are you
start
ready?
with?
Okay. Ladies first, Miss Grace Tanto. Okay. Take it away, ma'am.
Good afternoon po, Senator. My name is Grace Tanto. I am Bisaya. I'm from Cagayan de Oro. My grandparents came to the Philippines in the 1930s, so I'm third generation. I'm a Taiwanese national, by the way. Cagayan de Oro is from where your father is. That's where I have lived all my life. And
You
I
can
am a
speak-
Bisaya po. Yes, Bisaya is my first language. So maayo kay kung magbinisaya, mas maayo pa siguro kaysa akong Chinese o in English. I am a school director. Medyo, do I continue in Bisaya and English? Tagalog?
Filipino na, ma'am. Filipino.
Yeah, so dito na po ako ipinanganak. So also with my parents, they were naturalized Filipino citizens after me and my 4 siblings were born. Pinetition po kami when I was in grade school, but Cagayan de Oro, it was a bit, it was just a receiving office sa BI. So hindi po natuloy yung petition namin. So every now and then I would ask about citizenship because this is the only home I know. I have no other residency in any other country. So as you know, the cost is forbidding. So as an educator, and I'm a pastor as well, my funds would go to my children's education, of course. And but now I feel like it's the right time. My children are growing up. I'm supposed to come into the headship of the school, but I cannot because I'm not a Filipino citizen yet. My school head is waiting to retire as soon as I become one, and he's running 70. So therefore the urgency and the appeal po. So I hope this will merit your approval.
Thank you.
Married to a Filipino?
To a Korean missionary
Ah.
who has been serving with me for over 20 years.
So, the
Cagayan de
kids,
Oro.
ang tanong kasi sa Senator Bongo, yung mga anak mo, Pilipino, so hindi. Hindi.
Yeah, Korean citizen po sila because I'm not a citizen of the Philippines, pero nag-aral po sila sa Cagayan de Oro. My son is in college now.
Bisaya mo, ma'am?
Bisaya gyud, sir.
Ang imuhang ang asawa nimo ang to.
Ako ang
To.
to. Akong bana is Park.
To Park.
So I am supposedly Grace Park and I own
Oh.
Grace Park.
Pero yung apelyido mo hindi pwede kung ako meron akong anak na babae. Hindi pwede mag-asawa sa anak mong lalaki. Bakit? Anong apelyido pag nangyari?
Mag-Go Park.
Hindi. Go
Go
to. What may music?
Okay, so ano?
Bisaya na ni.
Sige, can we move on?
Opo, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, so Father Stephen Decatur Haynes. In 3 minutes, sir, tell us why you want to be a Filipino.
I thought you would ask me next. I did premonition.
Can we
Um,
mind?
I've lived in 4 different countries in my life. I'm 82 years old. And I believe what someone said earlier on, that by being a citizen, you have responsibility. And also the people I serve, I want to more and more identify with. I also love the Philippines. I've always loved it. My father was a liberator in the Battle of Tarlac and the Battle of Manila in the Second World War. And he told me many stories about that, but I identify with the Filipinos. I love the Filipinos. I had in my congregation in London, in the Catholic Cathedral, many Filipinos attended, and so many Filipinos in London. And when Cardinal Tagle said Mass, I shared the Mass with him, and we were absolutely packed. There was no room in the cathedral with the that particular Mass. Also, I think a sense of service. My whole life, both in my banking career before I became a Catholic priest, and I was in mergers, acquisitions and mergers and corporate finance, off-balance sheet funding, securitization. I tried to serve, be totally honest with the people I dealt with, and I asked the question really not what can you do for me, but what can I do for you? And the rest, I'm 82, so the rest of my life, I feel that I want to be, my mission is in the Philippines. I love the Philippines, I love the people, and I identify with the people in South Mindanao. And I do some teaching, reflections in the diocesan seminary, in the Passionist Seminary as well from time to time. And it's identification with the people. I remember one Leko was dying of cancer and very poor, and there was no chairs to sit on. I sat on the floor with this man holding his hand, but we were able to, in the end, find a nebulizer for him so that he could breathe. He could not breathe. So it's really being with the people whom I love and serving. My life is one of service. I do not take anything. I receive nothing in monetary form for what I do. I have a banking pension.
So how
But-
many years have you been with the Filipino people?
I started coming out 2007, but I was an Anglican priest, Church
Yeah.
of England Protestant at the time. And in that community, you're allowed to work in civilian life, as in the Catholic Church, you cannot. And I did 28 years in international banking.
What is your current citizenship or not?
UK, you have
UK.
UK. I studied also in Germany. I speak German fluently. And they speak Ilonggo around me, but I can say in Tagalog, ako ay nagagalak na makita ko kayang lahat. So I have words of Tagalog, but I am at 82. It's more difficult to learn a language.
Thank you, Father. Can we hear from